Hi, Daniela.
How are you doing today?
Good.
Yeah?
Nice to see you again.
It's nice to see you again too. How's your garden doing?
Good. I just got some fresh tomatoes and I have carrots growing in
Wow.
and some cucumber. I mean, not harvested yet, but it's getting bigger. So
That's exciting. Do you have any plans on how to use them? Different dishes or anything like that?
Oh no, I don't know anything about cooking. But my wife seems to be excited about the vegetables, so
How's your wife doing, by the way?
she's good.
Yeah.
She's good. Thank you for asking.
Oh, that's
You know, I told her a lot about our conversation, and I think she felt a little bit better. So did I, because I was, we mentioned how I don't have to completely change my eating habits and stop eating her cooking. So we're excited. I'm ready to see what changes we have to make. So
Well, I'm glad that you got to talk to her about the things we talked about last week because it's really important to have her on board with us because she deals a lot with the cooking with your diet, right?
Right.
So she's a very important part. So I'm really glad you got to talk to her about this. So just to recap what we talked about last week, we talked about how your doctor told you that you have hypertension and hyperlipidemia, so you have high blood pressure and have a high cholesterol.
Right.
And then we also I collected some information from you about your diet. Right?
Okay, right.
And also your lifestyle habits. So I took a look at the information that you provided me with, and I analyzed it, and I looked at your diet, and I saw that you like to enjoy quite a few drinks of alcohol. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
About 2 to 3 beers
right.
during the week, and then about 6 or 7 in the weekends.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then it also looks like your sodium level is a little bit higher than it should be, especially for somebody who's been diagnosed with hypertension.
Okay, so that would be my salt.
Mm-hmm. Your salt.
Okay.
And then also your cholesterol level is high, correct, according to your doctor. Right. And looking at your diet, it looks like you're taking in more than the recommended amount of fat.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what do I need to do?
Well, so alcohol and sodium, both of these can increase your blood pressure, and we don't want that because it's already higher than it should be.
Okay, so I should probably reduce my alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Right, and we can talk throughout the session. We'll try to figure out ways that you can do that you feel comfortable with, still retaining some of your normal diet patterns, correct? But also making these healthier choices.
Okay.
And then also, since you have higher cholesterol, we also need to take care of how much fat you're taking in because the hypertension and the hyperlipidemia, so the high cholesterol, they can increase your risk for heart disease.
Okay.
So based on what I just told you, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it concerns me, honestly. I don't want to have heart disease. I already have the high blood pressure. So I guess, I'm, like I said last time, I'm willing to make changes. I'm not sure what those changes have to be. But yeah, I mean, I certainly want to work on that.
Right. Well, I'm glad that we're at the point where you're comfortable with considering new changes to your diet, and that's what we'll talk about today.
Okay.
All right. So, what kind of changes do you think you can make to decrease your sodium level?
Well, you said sodium is bad for hypertension, right? So, I don't know what's in sodium. I guess I can tell my wife to not cook with as much salt.
Okay.
With dinner.
So you're saying maybe ask your wife to decrease the amount of salt she uses?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much she uses because she's the one that cooks, but I suppose I can, tell her to maybe bring down the salt.
By how much do you think she'd be willing to?
I guess I can, I don't know, I'd have to talk to her, but I guess I can tell her maybe to decrease it by like half.
Okay.
And see how we can do with that. can maybe even use some of the stuff from the gardens, like the herbs, to
Right.
maybe help compensate with the flavor.
That's a very good idea since you said you don't want to give up your favorite dishes and
Yeah.
decreasing the salt. It might change the flavor a little bit, but using spices and even herbs that you may grow in your garden, that can definitely add to the flavor of the food. And it's very important that you still enjoy the food that
Yeah.
you eat. So that sounds like a great goal. So could you repeat that back to me? What we just
Okay,
talked
so
about?
I would be asking my wife to decrease her salt, the salt that she uses to cook, by half, and I'm also gonna tell her that we should use some of the herbs, or different spices to maybe um, help with the flavor.
Right, and she usually cooks dinner, correct?
She's the one that cooks dinner, yeah. Actually, I think I might, go home. Should I start that right away? Because I can go home and tell her that we should start doing that tonight and maybe see how it goes today for dinner.
If you could talk to her about that tonight, that would be a great place to start.
Okay.
You think you could do that?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right, that's awesome. So the next thing we want to consider is your fat intake.
Okay.
So just to try to guide you through what you ate. So you said that at lunch you go out and you eat cheeseburger. You get a cheeseburger and then you get a salad with the salad dressing. Do you think is there anything that you can change about your order at lunch?
Well, I mean, I really don't want to give up my cheeseburger right now because, I mean, is the cheeseburger high fat?
There could be a high amount of fat in the cheeseburger, but are you willing to give up the cheeseburger?
I mean, I would prefer to maybe change something else. Can I change something with like the oil that I use for the salad dressing? I don't really need, that much of that.
Yeah, if you're more willing to make the change with the amount of salad dressing, that can still decrease your fat intake.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I can do that. I know that can be like something that I can adopt long term. I can probably reduce the amount of salad dressing by like half and maybe put some lemon in there instead of the oil.
Yeah, that sounds like a great option to decrease your fat intake.
Okay.
Do you think that sounds good?
Yeah.
So could you repeat back to me what we just talked
about?
Yeah,
I'm going to tell my wife to decrease the salt by half, right?
Okay.
We're going to start today at dinner, and I'm also going to start decreasing by half the amount of oil that I use in the salad dressing and maybe use lemon instead.
Okay, and when do you think you could start implementing these changes?
I can start next time I have lunch, maybe Monday.
Okay, sounds like a great plan. And then now for your alcohol consumption, you said you enjoy drinking alcohol with your friends. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I really like having beer. I don't want to give up my beer. I don't know, it makes me feel a certain type of way.
Right. I understand how you're feeling, and you don't have to give up all your beer.
Okay.
But what we can maybe do is decrease the amount of beer and wine you consume. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think it's easier to let go of the salad dressing. But yeah, I mean, as long as I can still have a couple drinks, I really enjoy my beer or my wine with my dinner, and with my friends when I go golfing. So, but
how about we start small then with the alcohol?
Okay.
How much are you willing to give up based on the alcohol? How many drinks are you willing to give up per day or per week?
Well, I have about 2 to 3 for dinner during the weekday, and then on weekends I have about 6 to 7. So, maybe bring down the 2 to 3 to only 1 or 2, and on the weekends maybe to only 5. Is that okay? I can decrease if I want.
Yeah,
I'd be willing to do that.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you're willing to decrease your alcohol intake by 1 drink per day.
Yes.
Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, I can decrease by 1 per day.
Okay. And when do you think you could start doing that?
Well, tomorrow's Saturday, so tomorrow would be when I start.
All right. That sounds like a plan?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. So I have 3 goals. 3 things to do. Seems like a lot to do.
Well, the thing is, we're starting with these small changes, so we're not
Right.
gonna touch your entire diet right now because
Yeah, that's better than having to
Right.
give up all of my Italian meal.
And here's what we can do. So we can start implementing these changes. You said tomorrow you can start decreasing your alcohol intake, correct? And then ask your wife tonight, right, to decrease the sodium, decrease the amount of salt in the in in her dinner making process,
Right.
and include herbs instead to still retain the flavor.
Right.
And then for fat, whenever you go out to lunch, which is
I can cut the salad dressing.
Right.
Starting on Monday.
All these changes you said you're willing to make.
Yes.
So how about we start implementing these changes when you said that you would? So tomorrow for the alcohol, today for the sodium, and then on Monday for the decreasing the oil, and then try that for a month. And I'll see you in a month, and then we can talk about whether you've had success with this, if it's effective, if you don't like these changes, and how you've progressed. How does that sound to you?
That sounds okay.
Sounds good. And do you have any concerns or any questions about this?
Yeah, I'm concerned that, I am going to try to do it. Like I said, I want to work on getting my health better, so I am going to try to do it, but I do get concerns that I won't be successful.
Right.
And I'm also concerned, honestly, I know my wife is supportive of me and she knows that I need to make changes, but I guess I'm concerned that she, will take it personal, or that she, not take it personal, but that she won't be willing to make these changes as well. So.
Yeah, I understand. That must be hard.
It is hard. It's hard to make changes.
It is. It really is. Starting any kind of change is hard.
And I'm afraid that I will start, but I don't know if I'll be able to, make it like an actual lifestyle change.
Well, I totally understand that, and try as best as you can, but don't feel like a failure if you don't meet the goal exactly every day. But really try as much as you can to meet these small goals. Any little bit counts, and in the bigger picture, little changes here and there can make a big difference. So we'll try these changes for a month. Talk to your wife. You said she's very concerned about your health, and so talk to her about that, how these changes will eventually help you to decrease your blood pressure and your cholesterol, and this affects your heart health. You said she's very concerned, and so talk to her about that and how the changes that you're asking her to make have an effect on your risk for heart disease. It can actually decrease that. So the 3 goals that you said you might be willing to consider making, these would make a great progress. It's a great starting point to decrease the cholesterol values and the blood pressure.
Okay.
How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel like, I'm ready to make a change, and I feel optimistic that it's not going to be as hard as I think it's going to be, and that I'm going to be able to make it. So I feel good.
And you said you're worried about making these changes. Could I ask you, what would be a motivation for you in order to decrease your heart disease risk? Like, why?
Well, I guess the most immediate motivation would be that I actually see that it's working. I don't want to be decreasing my salt by half, and then my blood pressure isn't, changing or going down. So I would like to see some results from these changes. I know it's not going to happen right away, but I would like to see that it's working.
Well, it's important to remember, even though you don't see these changes right away, every time that you make these good choices, you are eventually affecting your health for the good. And although we may not see it right now, in the future, when we take your lab values again, we'll hopefully be able to compare the values that you originally had to the values after you make these changes, and we'll see if it's effective. If it's effective, that's great, and And then if you're ready to implement even more changes, we can do that. If not, then we can continue. But if these changes are not effective, we can go back and tweak them to make sure that they're working for you. So how do you feel now that we talked through this? Do you have any more questions?
I feel a little bit more positive about the whole thing.
Yeah?
Yeah. Thank you. You've helped me. I don't really think I have, any questions. I guess we'll be learning as, we go along. I don't really know much about nutrition other than, all I know that I had to decrease the salt and decrease the fat because that's what my doctor told me. But I guess I feel like I have more of an idea and more tools to what it is that I have to change.
Right. So do you understand how your the alcohol, sodium, and fat
Yeah, so
levels
you said the
affect?
alcohol and the salt can contribute to bringing up my blood pressure, right? And the fat makes the cholesterol.
Right. And what happens if you have high blood pressure and the high cholesterol?
And then long term, I can get heart disease, right? Yeah, I don't
That's
want
correct.
that. So
Well, I just want to say, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
thank you.
And we'll see you. I'll see you in a month, and we can see how you're doing. How does that sound to you?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Well, it was nice to see you again, Tony.
Thank you, Daniela. You too.
And I'll see you next time.
Okay. Thank
Bye.
you.